What's up, everybody? Welcome to podcast. Now, I'm Alex. In this video, I'm here to preview Crackdown 3. Now, Crackdown 3 releases on the Xbox One and on PC on February 15, 2019. So this is the third entry in the Crackdown series and the first one in almost 10 years. Crackdown 2 came out in the summer of 2010, so it's been quite a long time coming, and this game has been delayed time and time again. Now, I think overall this game is kind of a polarizing video game, and I'm going to be talking a little bit in this video about what they're kind of going to improve upon, and what Crackdown 3 actually is going to be in terms of the gameplay and what the game is. But I also want to talk a little bit about the game itself when previewing this, because this game has been through quite a lot. Originally being worked on back in 2014 and shown off in 2015. This game was originally supposed to release in 2016. It was delayed 3 times since then, all the way to now. So this game, has been delayed almost 2+ years, which is an insanely long time for a game to be delayed. And Crackdown in itself has never been the biggest game in the world. And I think that's one of the things that upsets the people the most about this game. Is if you go online too, if you go on YouTube and just type in a couple Crackdown 3 videos, if you watch gameplay, you watch all that, the like to dislike ratio is very alarming. It's kind of almost even. So and again, Crackdown was never actually that amazing, and that is just my opinion. But if you look at the review scores too, and you look at just popular opinion of the game, Crackdown has always been an average game. Crackdown 2, both critically and in terms of what people thought of it, like gaming journalism and people, this game was not sought after. This game was not the biggest game in the world. This game wasn't reviewed very well at all. It got an average score of a 70 out of 100, and a very average game. And I think that really comes from what this game actually is, and that is a destructibility, a kind of a mindless fun game where you just wreak havoc, right? And that's kind of what Crackdown is, and that's what it needs to embrace. And I think the weaknesses with the past games have always come from everything but that. And to their credit, this game is trying to remedy that. This game is trying to, I think, double down on all of that. One of the major things that was first announced about this game is the destructibility. The entire world is very, very destructible, and they're really doubling down on that. They're doubling down on the action. They're doubling down on the fun of being able to kind of do, in a way, whatever you want. Going more into the orb collecting, which was a really popular feature in Crackdown 2. So they're really trying to double down on what worked for Crackdown 2. They're having a multiplayer mode where the entire world is destructible. So there's a lot of things that they're really trying to push in terms of the having fun, blowing things up, handling things your own way with the weapons and the means and being able to drive vehicles and all this kind of stuff. That is what they're focusing on. And there is a story and there is all that, and we'll have to see how that actually ends up, because what it comes down to is Crackdown, that is its weakness. It's its story, is its kind of ability to not really reach out and grab people beyond just the fact that it's kind of dumb fun. And that phrase has been said a lot, and in a way it's a lot, in my opinion, like Just Cause, where Just Cause, I think, has always had and will always have a problem of you can only get people to come so far to your side when the game can only offer so much. And honestly, I feel like that's what Crackdown is the game can only offer so much to people, but it doesn't have the real depth that will keep people in, that will keep people saying, like, hey, this is an amazing game, this game does this, and this game breaks this barrier in the gaming industry, all those kind of things. It doesn't have that because of what it kind of limits itself a little bit in terms of the game it actually is. With all that being said, I want to talk about the release date a little bit. So again, delayed multiple times, and that obviously I think has hurt it. I'm never not a fan of delaying a game. I actually, if a game gets delayed, I'm not going to criticize, I'm not going to attack it, but only to a certain extent. I'm okay with games taking a couple months to kind of patch itself up and listen to fan feedback. Some of the better games of all time have done that. A game like Uncharted 4 even got delayed. A game like Batman Arkham Knight got delayed, and that game I thought turned out really, really well in terms of console-wise, not PC-wise. But a lot of games have been delayed for those reasons, and have been delayed for a short period of time. Crackdown 3 has been delayed over 2 years, and for that, they better have a good reason for it. And at the same time, now it's releasing on February 15th, as I said, and I don't think it could have picked a worse time to do it. It's coming off 2 weeks after Kingdom Hearts 3, which is a small indie game that a few people may have heard of around the internet. And it's also coming out the same day as Jump Force and Metro Exodus, and coming out 1 week before BioWare's Anthem. So, all of those games are in a tight spot. Any one of those games could hurt each other. I truly believe that, other than Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts is not going to get hurt by any other game. But I think, Jump Jump Force, Metro Exodus, and Anthem could all hurt each other, as well as Crackdown. I think those 4 games will end up hurting each other. So in terms of sales, you know, in terms of if you're delaying your game this long, and then you have the freedom at this point, I think, to pick when your game is going to come out, and it comes out at this time, you know, you don't want to delay it again. I wouldn't say delay it to move it off of all those days, but at the same time, or, you know, with all those games attached to it, but at the same time, you do have to be aware. And while I don't like Sony's decision to delay Days Gone, which I made a video about talking about their confidence in the game, I don't think it's the best to come out and say, like, we don't think our game can compete with 5 other games, so we're going to move it to where it's kind of unrivaled. You know, there's pros and cons to that. I feel like that does kind of say you don't have confidence in your game to beat the other games, but at the same time, you're admitting that you believe that, you know, it's going to be tough and you want to give your game a chance. And so I do applaud Sony in that respect. Crackdown 3, I think, should be the same thing. I think Crackdown is at the same level as Days Gone, where it's got a lot to prove, and there's been so many negative things about it that you would think you'd want to give it a chance, right? And I don't think you're giving it a chance by releasing it when you're releasing it. I feel like this game is going to get maybe average scores, maybe above average scores, but then kind of get left in the dust as the year goes on. So we'll see. You know, a lot of negatives, but some positives with Crackdown 3. But I'm excited to see what this game actually turns out to be. This game could just be mindless fun, which is, you know, that's not a bad thing. It's actually a really, really good thing. There's definitely a spot in games for that. So let me know in the comments below, guys. What do you think of Crackdown 3? Are you excited for it? What do you expect from this game so long after Crackdown 2 and after all these delays? Let us know. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Podcast Now, for more previews like this on games and movies. Make sure you hit that bell icon so you guys are notified when all these videos go up, and I will see you on the next game preview.